Hey guys, in today's video I want to talk about the Surface tablet, and I've got it in shot today instead of where it normally is off camera, helping me record from the microphone here because it's the subject of the video. Now I've had the Surface Pro 7 for about a year now. For the most part, I've really enjoyed it. It's a very capable tablet PC, especially the version that I got. I got the i7 version with 16 gigs of RAM. But there are what I see as a couple design flaws of that you look at how some parts of it were designed and you kind of scratch your head a little bit, like why did they do it that way? Things that I'm hoping in a subsequent model that they come out with for it, if they're thinking of redesigning part of the outside, I hope these things are something they consider to maybe they can improve upon. So I just want to go over them quick here. One, I have from the very first time that I have plugged this in thought that where they put the power connector is kind of weird. As you can see on the side here, the power cord that comes with the Surface Tab is like this little strip thing with a peg that goes into a little slot on the side of it, but it's near the bottom. Now it's reversible, so you can put it either direction, but either direction that you end up putting it, because of where it has to connect, ends up kinking the cord. You can see that it has a natural curl in it, and anyone who knows much about cords knows that continuous bending and curling them reduces their lifespan, and if you're anal like I am, that's just a real downer. So you can clip it in so that it's sticking up, and sometimes, like is the case here, if you have something plugged into your USB-C port, in this case my microphone, you can actually kind of use that to hold the cord up so that it's a little straighter. But if you don't have anything plugged into your USB port, that cord just kind of hangs like this and is really bent. It's not ideal. And it's just as bad if you reverse it so that it's going down, because as you can see, it has basically no room between where it clips in and the table that you're sitting it on, and it curls again. And I just think that that's unfortunate, because what if they had reversed the things on the side to say, put the USB ports down here, and then what if the power cord could plug in right up there? That would actually give the cord the ability to just hang down straight against the side of the tablet. That just seems like that would be a lot better. I don't know why after 7 generations of this tablet, that's not something that anybody has considered or changed in it. It just strikes me as kind of stupid. The other thing that I would say is the cameras in it. It does have a front-facing camera, of course, and a rear-facing camera, but they followed the format that is pretty common in phones, which is to say, on your phone, the better camera is the one that's on the back, and then there's a lesser camera on the front. Now on a phone, that makes a lot of sense because you're holding the phone up like you would an actual camera and you're taking pictures of the stuff, and occasionally you do selfies and whatnot, but most of the time, anytime you're doing serious photography with your phone, you're holding it so that the back camera is at the subject, and so it stands to reason you would put the better camera back there. I don't think that makes nearly as much sense on a tablet designed to basically be a laptop. How often is somebody holding their Surface tablet up and taking pictures with the rear camera? For me, never. For anyone I've ever known that's used one of these tablets that I've asked, never. Now, how often does somebody use the front camera for Zoom calls and other types of things? All the time. So, contrary to what you would say about a phone, which camera does it make sense on a Surface tablet to be the better camera? Clearly the front, but it's not. And so, it might not be a huge deal for like Hangouts meetings or Zoom calls, because generally the 720p that this front camera can do is sufficient, and a lot of times people are squishing it down so there's multiple faces and nobody's taking up the whole screen anyway, so you may or may not even benefit from the camera being super high-end. On the other hand, it would be awfully nice for people without a webcam if they don't want to set up a tripod and a separate camera like I've done. It would be very handy to just be able to set up your Surface in front of you and just straight record the video out of the front camera. And that might be more viable if you had the quality of the rear camera doing that. When I have experimented with that on the Surface, the front camera very much it's sufficient for Zoom calls. I would not want to record serious videos for YouTube on that front camera. And so that's just kind of a shame, because it's equipped with hardware on the back that never gets used that might actually be really helpful, but it can't be used because of where they put it. That just is another example to me of if they had thought through more, how would a person actually use this product instead of just copying the formula that is done for phones, they might have made some different choices. And so again, I'm not bashing the Surface tablet. I mean, it's my main computer. I use it all the time. I have a PC as well, but I find myself using this a lot of the time. For its portability, I'm happy with it for the most part. I would potentially consider getting another one when it's time to replace this. I'm not saying I don't like the Surface. I'm just saying those are two things that have struck me from the very first time I used it, and over the last year, I have just continuously kind of rolled my eyes at them as I use it and wish that there might be some better alternatives for that. So anyway, as a thought discussion, if you're considering buying a Surface tablet, these are at least things to be aware of. I mean, in its defense, the camera thing is true basically on any computer. Even if you're comparing this against, say, an iPad Pro or something, it's probably got the same setup with the cameras and whatnot. So it's not really to beat up on the Surface tablet. It's just, at least the iPad Pro has in its defense that it can say, well, I'm a tablet first. That kind of sells itself as being able to replace a computer. The Surface Pro literally runs Windows 10 on it, so it even runs a real computer operating system, and if it wants to act like a real computer, I feel like if I was still shopping for a Surface tablet, these kinds of things would be something I would have found it helpful for someone to have pointed out to me before I buy. Maybe it matters, maybe it doesn't. Maybe ultimately, you know, as I did, you'll still make the choice to buy it. But I just put this out there in case anybody's wondering, or if anybody watching are like, yeah, I've thought that too. Just have this out there. Maybe Microsoft will take notice. I mean, I'm not trying to front like my channel's a huge deal and that's going to independently change anything, but you never know. Hopefully Microsoft will at least rethink the positioning of the power connection on the side, because camera aside, I just think this was a really silly choice. The USB port would be perfectly fine on the bottom. There's no disadvantage to that switching, and you would get nothing but advantage for the power to be up near the top. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.